Okay, so we're going to try again. So welcome back to the Limitless Fitness podcast. And today I'm going to be talking to Jess Bannahan, also known as Jess Selffit, and her sister run a page called Fit Sis. And she will be talking about her business, what it's like to be a PT, her bodybuilding competition, and what got her into fitness in the first place. And she's here now, so we're going to try and put her back in again.
Hopefully
Hi
it
again.
works. Oh my god, love a bit of tech issues after like yeah, not sure what happened, but like even I couldn't it wouldn't let me request in and I was like, why? So I'm so sorry. I will not be touching my phone now. We should be okay.
Okay. So you got your vaccine yesterday.
Got the vaccine yesterday, yeah. So I thought today I would kind of just be completely wiped out, which I kind of was. I kind of just spent most of the day on the couch and
Mm.
was not able to move my arm. But yesterday morning I did like a massive upper body session. I was like, right, I'm going to do a big session and then get the vaccine and then yeah. But look, I hope I'll be okay tomorrow. I'm not sure when exactly I'm going to be able to train, but just gonna listen to my body and see how it is, because at the end of the day there's a vaccine, so I need to kind of
Mm.
look after my body. So yeah.
So with someone who trains so much, what's it like not actually being able to train?
Oh, I don't mind. I at the moment I'm training 5 days a week, so I have two rest days, and I tend to split them up anyway. So I would have taken a rest day, let's say today, but also Wednesday. So I think at the start, when I started kind of getting into fitness, like around this time 2 years ago, I was like obsessed, and I thought I needed to train like twice a day, 7 days a week, and that's how I was going to be. Because obviously when you exercise, you release endorphins, and obviously makes you feel happier. So that's why I got so into it and so obsessed with it. But it really wasn't optimal, because as I kind of say to my clients, and probably yourself, like your rest and recovery days are equally as important as training. There's no point training, and if you're aiming to essentially grow muscle, like your muscles grow when you're resting. So it's very,
Mm.
very important. So, today, I very much appreciate my rest days. I do try and keep my step activity up, except like today, steps have been absolutely shocking, and I'm not worried about it. I'm like, it's fine. This is only a temporary thing, and I think that's probably what it's important to realize. But I've started to kind of really appreciate my rest and recovery days. I think they're so, so important.
Yeah. Um, so you said you only got into fitness 2 years ago.
Mm.
What? That's, I can't believe it.
I
I thought you were
know.
going to say like, oh yeah, 10 years ago, do you know, I just you've come a long way in 2 years. Like that is mental.
Yeah, I think it's mad. And I think, yeah, again, if you were to follow me for just the first time today and you were looking at my page, you probably think, oh my god, she's been at this for 10, 12 years. I'm like, no, I've literally only been doing this properly for the last 2 years. And back when I was younger, I was definitely very active. I wasn't really a sporty child. I started dancing when I was about 5 years old, and did dancing kind of on and off for about 20 years, so most of my life. And
Well,
then I did taekwondo, similar to yourself. So I did that for 6 years as well. I did that when I was 10 up until I was 16, got my black belt. And then because I'd moved school, I couldn't kind of continue with keeping up with taekwondo. So, then, yeah, I was in Australia 2 years ago. I was really unhappy with, I suppose, my body, my mind. It was a lot of different things. And I didn't really realize kind of how I was feeling. I kind of just, you know, I suppose I'm that type of person, I put others before myself. And I never, really looked at my body, or never kind of, or not looked at my body, but I suppose as such, but it was more, I didn't really think about what was actually going on in my mind and how I thought of myself. I was more wanting to make sure everyone else around me was okay, and I never prioritized my own health. I never prioritized my own happiness for so long, and that was only I'm 28 now, so I was literally just 26, kind of out in Australia, thinking oh my god, this is amazing. I'm over in a different country, and I'm now putting myself first. But I was really, at the time, I didn't really realize how unhappy I was in my body, and I knew I needed to make a change. I knew that I needed to do something, and that's when I started going to a gym over there. Getting assistance from personal trainers, so that, because they were the people that knew how to guide me and support me, because I had no clue what I was doing. And, you know, luckily I did get that support, and I just became so obsessed with it, probably in an unhealthy way. I kind of started, you know, as I said, like I was training like sometimes twice a day. I became like unhealthily obsessed with it. I was under eating. So I was doing kind of like stuff that, you know, I now see people going through, and I'm like, oh my God, like I've genuinely been there. So, you know, and I suppose that's kind of one of the reasons why I went into coaching, was to like help people that have been in my situation. I think it's why a lot of us like, you know, become PTs or online coaches, because we know what it's like in different, you know, areas as such. And I think that was something that an avenue I definitely wanted to explore as well. And yeah, so in the last 2 years I've somehow started my own fitness journey, left my career in marketing, which I was in for about 6 years, studied personal training, and started my own business December of last year, and now full-time coach, and did a
Wow.
bodybuilding competition 2 weeks ago. So it's been quite the journey.
I mean, like, you move fast, like.
I think, like, you know, again, I prioritized myself over the last 2 years. It was like I needed to put myself first. I needed to be selfish, because like I never was, you know, and you know, I don't regret anything I've done over the last 2 years. I'm one of those people that I don't believe in regrets anyway. I think everything works out for a reason. You know, even when I came home last year, so I came home last March from Australia due to COVID-19. I'd lost my job out there, so I had to come home because I was on a visa, and I thought that was like the lowest of the lowest. I was like, nothing can get worse than this. But you know, I took action. You know, I had to try and find a job to earn money, you know, to pay for the PT course, and you know, I kind of, you know, I started, you know, I launched my business with a, you know, so much like hope, but it was an optimism, thinking, who the hell is going to sign up with me? Like, if people have been following me long enough, they'll know that I haven't, you know, been, you know, a PT for long. I got qualified in September of last year, and because of the way the gym's closed and everything, like I never really got floor experience as such, or you know. And then I just launched self coaching the middle of December, so I think it was like a week before Christmas. And then I spent, because I was still in my marketing job at the time, I spent my 2 weeks of Christmas holidays just doing consultation calls, and it was the best thing ever. And I was like, this is like, this, it was just a glimmer, like a glimpse of what my, you know, what my whole coaching experience could be like. And I then did, you know, my marketing job that I was in at the time last year, and coaching as well, but like doing both of them side by side for like a month. And then I was just getting completely burned out, and I was like, right, I'm living at home, you know, like this is like the right time. If I'm going to do this, I need to give it my all, and that's what I've done. And I've been full-time online coaching now since the first of March this year. So if that's like 4 months, I think. So it's been mad.
Yeah, no, like I'm in shock that it's only been 2 years, because you've like really like progressed a lot. But I think it's fair to say it's not like lucky, because like if anyone follows you, you can see how much effort that you actually put into everything. So it's not like you just said, "Oh, just be a PT today," and then that was it, like, you know, and stuff. So like, you know, for anyone watching, thinking like, "Oh, you did that very fast," like I'd say an awful amount of work went on behind the scenes for you to progress that fast, like that quickly, or that much that quickly.
Yeah, like, well, look, I'm flattered that that you see the effort that I put in. Sometimes I don't see it. I kind of feel like, you know, I feel like I need to work 24/7, I suppose, as such as like that. And I suppose, you know, I needed to respect the other people that are in the industry long. You know, you've been probably PT longer than me as well, so like, you know, I needed to respect that. And I knew, like, I even know now, like, I've so much to learn, and I'm very open to that. And I've, you know, I suppose I just really kind of like, I suppose like my background is in marketing, so like one of the biggest things about marketing is research. So, you know, I research on different coaches. I really try to, like, you know, because I have a coach myself, so you know, I really try to expose myself to as much learning capabilities as possible, because you know, I have to evolve, I have to grow. And you know, becoming a personal trainer was initially kind of the thought. It was, I was on my mind for about like a few months, I suppose. And you know, I kind of, then last year when I actually said, okay, right, I'm going to go study this PT course, I never I knew I eventually wanted to get into online coaching, and even like all the people that were in my course, they were like, oh my God, like you're like really obsessed with becoming the idea of becoming an online coach. And I was like, oh no, this is what I'm working towards. Like this is where my career is going. Like I'm like leaving my you know what, like my bachelor's degree well by the side. I'm like, no, this is something I feel really passionate in, and it's incredible to find something that you're passionate in. I think that's like what I've really learned. Like, you know, it was definitely also very nerve-wracking, let's say, telling my parents that I was, you know, going to like transition into a completely different industry, considering I wasn't a very like active child. It wasn't as if I was, you know, going to camoga training, you know, twice a week when I was younger or anything like that. Like it was completely different to what I've been used to. So of course that there's probably that, you know, I was worried, you know, would my friends judge me, would my, you know, would people around me think like, what is she doing? Is she going through midlife crisis? But
And
like
28.
at 28, yeah, 100%. But you know, I'm definitely like don't get me wrong, I have my crap days as much as anyone else. Particularly today, I've been in the worst mood, and actually because of the vaccine, I'm just feeling exhausted. But at the same time, I'm definitely the happiest I've been in a very, very long time. Can't remember the last time I was like this like fulfilled in my life. You know, and you know, the fact that like I need to like kind of sometimes remind myself like I'm only in my business like 6 months, and like, you know, after my rest of my life to grow with it and, you know, adapt and change and stuff like that. And, you know, sometimes I'm kind of worried, being like, oh my God, like will I get an inquiry today? Will someone actually want to sign up with me? And I have all these self-doubts. I doubt myself and, you know, my capabilities as a coach, but I'm learning, and I'm so grateful for the clients that I do have, and they believe in me as well. So yeah, things do work out.
So you brought up the word judgment.
Mm.
That's a big word because a lot of people are actually afraid to transition into either a career or a hobby or like going back to education, like anything, because they're afraid of being judged by their friends or family or, you know. So like what advice would you give people that would be like are passionate about something? Because obviously you have to have passion before you want to, you know, get into something.
Yeah.
What would your advice be to people that are too afraid to take that step and to do like to transition into something or start a hobby, but they're too afraid of being judged?
Yeah, I think like if anything of what we've learned over the last 18 months of COVID-19, the one thing that we have learned is that life is too short. Like, you know, like every single person on this planet has put their life on hold for the last 18 months. And if it's taught you anything, it's to taught you that your happiness becomes before anything else. Um, you know, and that's something I've definitely learned. And again, because you know, I was always that person where like, you know, as I kind of mentioned, I always put others before myself. And I kind of, you know, I would do things, particularly when I was younger and when I was a teenager and my early 20s, I would do something to kind of feel accepted into society. And I always felt like I needed to follow a certain path to not be judged. Whereas, you know, now feeling more comfortable in my own skin, you know, I've taken a lot of risks, and everyone's afraid of the risk and the fear of failure and all that stuff. But I'm like, what I've actually learned over the last few weeks is to be open to failure. Like, be
Mm.
open, because like when you fail, it's an opportunity to grow. Like, you can't just like swim through life all happy and think everything's great. Like, you're naturally going to have your ups and downs. Like, life is a roller coaster. Like, I'm coming out with so much like cringy stuff, but this is true. So, you know, if you're worried about someone judging you, and like your friends and family should support you, and if they don't, it's tough, but like it's okay. Like, if you know something is genuinely going to make you happy and bring you happiness, that's all that matters, because I think that's what everyone should want out of someone's life. I couldn't care less what some of my friends or my family do for a living or whatever they do. If that brings them happiness, I'm like, that's all that makes me happy, and that's what it should be, you know. Like, we shouldn't have to live our life just for someone else. We shouldn't have to live life just for that paycheck at the end of the week. It should be living our life for fulfillment.
Mm.
And that's what I'm, you know, again, it's because of fitness. Like, you know, people probably think like, oh, like you need, like I'm not coaching people so that they feel, you know, I'm coaching people to feel good in themselves. That's what I want people to feel. Like, it doesn't matter. We don't need to put a dress size on it. We don't need to put like a number on the scales on it. I'm like, you could be whatever size you want to be, whatever, you know, whatever weight on scales and all that kind of stuff. But like, if you're genuinely happy, like, that's the main thing. That's the main thing. That's what you should always aim for in life. So you know, don't let it, like, you know, and having that fear of judgment, like, you don't know what your friends or family might think, or if you want to go for something in life, you know, like, there might not be any judgment. So, and you don't know if you don't try. So I think it's just you know, value, like, a really important thing. Like, I didn't know if anyone was going to sign up for my coaching, and was shockingly overwhelmed with the response. And I was like, okay, like, I just launched this business, I have no idea what I'm doing, and there's people inquiring, so that's really good. So again, I just had to just go with it, and, you know, I trusted my gut, and you know, things will work out. Again, yeah, my biggest thing would be to just kind of say, it's all your it's all in your head. It could sometimes be all be in your head, but it's a matter of taking that leap if you know it's going to bring you happiness.
See, a lot of the time people don't judge you at all. They're more just afraid for you in case in case you don't do well or whatever, and they're afraid of you being disappointed. So it's not really judgment per se. It's more protection almost.
Yeah,
And it can come across as judgment. But
yeah,
there will always be people out there as well that do judge.
yeah,
But like, doesn't matter what you do, they're going to do. I mean, you were doing marketing, people could judge you for that. But
yeah,
like,
exactly. Like, 100%. But like, people are gonna judge you, and like, let them off. Like, you know, like,
mm,
you know, like, you know, especially like with like, you know, even on social media, like, people are gonna judge you, even if they do or don't follow you. Like, there's probably people out there that specifically follow you just to judge you. I'm like, let them off. Like, I really couldn't care. Like, at the end of the day, like, the only opinion that matters is myself. And I, you know, yeah, it's just, it's a crazy world that we're living in. But as I said, like, you know, if what we've learned over the last 18 months is to put your own happiness first, that's the biggest advice I can give to anyone.
so let's fast forward then to the bodybuilding. When
Mm.
did you decide to say, do you know what? I'm going to get on stage. I'm going to strut my stuff. I'm going to just focus for probably about a year. I can imagine it was about a year at least.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
because that again is a big decision to make.
oh, huge, huge. So I had hired a online coach back in November 2019, and specifically hired a coach because I knew I needed help with this. I knew that I was Googling all these things, but I was like, I need to hire a professional to actually understand what the hell nutrition is. Like, you know, understand that. Like, I'd done home ec in school, but, you know, I didn't really like remember all that knowledge, even though I was quite good at it. But, you know, like, even with exercise, like, I didn't know what was, you know, optimal for anything. So I invested into myself. Like, that's how I see it. I invested into myself. And I did like 8 weeks with her. And then it was come to the end of the 8 weeks, and it was kind of like, okay, you know, what's on your mind? Like, do you want to like continue? And this was like the 8 weeks that kind of finished in January of 2020. And I remember, because I was still living in Australia at the time, I remember like being in my bed and like voice noting her, and I was like, I think I want to compete. And it's so funny because now if Alexa was here, she'd be able to say this as well. It's something that she brings up. She's brought up recently. But basically, in December of 2020, it was November, December 2020, or sorry, 2019. Alexa and I were, had like a FaceTime call, and I remember Alexa brought up the idea that she wanted to compete. I would have been of the very narrow mind that I'm like, I said to her, I remember she told me she wanted to compete. This is like a month prior to me deciding that I wanted to compete, and she said, oh, like, I'm just thinking about, like, you know, competing and stuff. And I was like, why would you do that? Like, that's such a like manly thing to do. Like, why would you want to stand on a stage in a bikini and be judged? And then, yeah, so I don't remember having that call. And then a month later, I decide, sure, go on, I'll go compete. Like, and it's so funny because everyone's like, but how did you decide? I suppose, like, again, I surround my environment at that time. I was following. I started following competitors. That was just how the nature of who I was following was going to. Because again, I wanted to be inspired by these people. I wanted to kind of have role models to look up to. And again, it was all competitors, and a few online coaches as well. And so yeah, it was January 2020 when I decided to compete. And like, you know, my coach was like buzzing. She was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've literally only been being coached for the last 8 weeks. So I was so naive. I was really naive to the whole idea, and I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. And then Alexa then decided a month later, she invested into a coach who she's also been with now for the last year and a half. And we both then decided that we compete together. And the initial goal was April of this year, but because of COVID-19, it was then pushed to July. So like the 4th of July 2021 was embedded into our brains for over a year. Like no matter what lockdown last year or anything like that, like, you know, even when we were doing like bloody hit workouts in the living room, like, this again, so like naive, but like we just, it was always the goal. No matter, like, if we said, oh my god, like it's this day next year, it's, you know, this day like 6 months time, it was, you just embedded into your brain. So you know, and even like this year was definitely a lot more challenging as well. But it's, yeah, so it was a year and a half in the making for like what, 6 hours on the day. It's a crazy goal to have, but something I would never ever thought I would do. That was never like ever like on my bucket list.
So, what was the training like? Like, because nutrition is a huge factor in bodybuilding as well, like massive. So,
Yeah.
what was that training like? Because you said you weren't really into fitness, then you got into fitness, then you had hired a coach for 8 weeks, and then you decided to do a bodybuilding competition. So, how like different was every aspect of that compared to like being thrown into the deep end of a bodybuilding competition? Because ultimately that's what bodybuilding is. You are thrown into the deep end. Whether you've been training for 5 years or 5 months, you're thrown into the deep end.
Oh, 100%. And I think, look, doing all that when, like, for the last year and a half, like a year probably altogether, the gyms were closed. So I've really only had about 6 months, you know, gym training. But even it wasn't even effective, optimal. I've no idea, like, to be honest, because, you know, back last year, Alexa and I were sharing a set of 5 kg dumbbells between us. That's all we had. We had nothing last year. You know, Alexa did a bulk for all last year. I didn't. I was in a deficit for most of last year. And then I did a fitness shoot in November of last year. So like I've just been kind of in a deficit for most of the last year. So I've not, like, I did a mini bulk, or like a bit of a surplus for about like a month, if even. I think about 3 or 4 weeks. So like I haven't really got. It wasn't, when I look back over the last year and a half, I kind of think, okay, look, Joe, we made the most of it. But really, if the gyms were open, we probably could have made more progress, 100%, because we were looking to build muscle. It wasn't just like, oh, it's not the standard, deficit. We're just like, losing a bit of body fat. It's like we have to have muscle to showcase. So my training varied as such over the last year and a half. I think I was doing 5 days, then went to 6. And then I remember coming to Christmas, I was doing like full body sessions, and full bodies are absolutely insanely tough. And then for the last like 7 months, it's been like a 5-day split, which is really, really good. So like 3 lower body days, 2 uppers. Still what I'm currently doing now as well, because again, my body still feels like it's in prep, because it's only been 2 weeks today, so my body still kind of like feels like it needs to be doing like an excessive amount of cardio. I'm not really eating that many calories, because again, we're literally only slowly reversing my body out of to what was like a 12-week dieting phase is what I did. But yeah, I think, look, if gyms were open 100%, I could have had more muscle definition. But we'll have to wait and see what happens for potentially the next show.
So the day of the show, how are you feeling? Because you've never done it before. So what was it like actually seeing loads of other people there? You went to England as well, didn't you?
Yeah, so again, that was another thing we didn't really kind of know if it was going to happen, because the fact that we had to fly over, and we were kind of like, oh god, like, because we thought like our parents wouldn't let us fly over if it was unsafe. But we booked everything in advance, and luckily, so fortunate of obviously how lockdown is kind of like in terms of easing of restrictions, we were able to go over. So we went over for a week, or I think it was 9 days in total. So basically, because of the week of the show being peak week, that's when you need to have like zero stress in your life or anything. So it was kind of like, let's get over and just enjoy the last week together. So that's exactly what we did. And like definitely like this, the day of the show, it was such a blur. Like you're just it went so fast. And I think I remember like at the end of the evening, like we were just like, oh god, is that it? Like really? the nerves weren't really there that morning. It was more the day. I think like the last 2 days, like the shows on the Sunday, so it was the Friday and Saturday where the nerves were kind of really evident. The morning of the show, there's just so much self-doubt. I think self-doubt was the biggest issue that I had to really overcome, because I looked in the mirror, and even though Alexa's and my Nexus physiques are two completely different physiques and we're different categories, I would still look at her being like, she looks way better than me. I don't look the best. Like, there's no point in me going on the stage. Like, I was just had it all. My whole mindset was like all over the place. But I suppose the morning of, you're kind of, you just have to be so tough, because at the end of the day, it's a competition. It's not like, you know, even though all the women that I met were absolutely amazing, you know, I met so many incredible people. But at the end of the day, I was competing against all of them. So you're there trying to be nice, but not trying to be fake, because you're kind of like, oh, you're like, you're so nice, but I'm going to be on stage next to you and I need to win. So it's kind of like, you know, like, so you have all these things, and then you're like staring at people, even though like people are all like in their like dressing gowns, but then you're like, oh my god, but like, what if her physique looks better than mine? Like, oh my god, like what's she eating before stage? Like, what's her pre-stage snack or whatever? Like, you're just, all these things run through your mind. But the whole experience just went so fast. Like, you know, we did 4 categories, three categories each. So we were like, the more stage time the better for us, just to make the most out of it. Because again, we put in so much work. But it was so surreal. Like, it was just to be on stage, and like to be on stage showcasing your body after like a year and a half's worth of work. Considering, you know, gyms being closed and the pandemic and everything, it was incredibly satisfying. I don't really know how to really describe it, but like, it was so fulfilling to be on stage. Like, I just didn't expect that kind of like satisfaction, I suppose, or just pride, I think, because, you know, like, because 2 years ago I would have suffered even being in a bikini, and I've shared photos online of how I looked 2 years ago, and, you know, like, at the time I thought I was happy, but now looking back, I really, really wasn't. And the reason why I went on stage was to prove to myself that I could do anything that I can achieve if I put my mind to it. And that was all my mindset that got me to the stage. It wasn't like the training, it wasn't the nutrition, it wasn't like all the sleep. It was my mindset that got me to the stage. And that's why I'm so strong. Sorry. That's why I feel so strong about mindset, you know, when it comes to fitness, because at the end of the day, like, you could have the best training program, the best coach, and the best nutrition, but like, if your mindset isn't like in the best place or anything like that, it can reflect to different actions. So but yeah, stage day, or the actual day of the show, was just emotional as well. Like, you know, I cried when I got off stage. I remember, like, because I didn't place in my category, and I remember how gutted I was feeling, and I came off stage and I cried, and I remember thinking after it, I was like, oh my god, I just cried off when I came off stage. I probably looked so unprofessional, but like, it just probably showed the amount of work that I put in. I suppose I need to kind of bear that in mind, that, like, you know, I wasn't just really angry I didn't place. It was more, I was just gutted. But at the end of the day, like, I don't need a trophy to kind of identify the work that I've put in. I know I worked my like butt off to get there, so I'm extremely proud of what I brought. I've no regrets with anything. I worked as hard as I could, and that's the main achievement that I achieved that day.
Didn't you come second in a category?
Yeah, so Alexa and I came second in the couples category, which was really, really lovely to do. So couples categories, essentially, it could be with a partner, it could be with a best friend, whatever. Me and Alexa obviously went in as sisters. So we came second in that category, which was amazing. So I came home with something anyway. So I came home
there
with
you go.
trophy.
Think of the positives.
So yeah, no one is better than nothing. And then my category was bikini tall, which is a very, very popular category as well. So I didn't place in that. And then Alexa did the fitness model category, and she came second in her category and won her pro status. So she's now considered a pro athlete in that federation as well, which is like, so I came off stage, and it was very funny. Like, I came off stage and I was like really holding it in. I didn't realize how emotional I was. and I could see Lexa just about to go on stage for her award ceremony of her category, and she looked at me and she was like, and I was like, and Alexa's face just dropped. And then I remember like walking past Alexa, and I just broke down. And luckily, one of the girls that I made friends with, she just grabbed me. She was like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "I don't know what. Like, I can't. I don't know. Like, I don't know." And I remember being backstage, and I could hear like the intercom going of like the like host of the show announcing, you know, who won and everything like that. And then I heard Alexa came second and won her pro status, and that's when I completely, like, it was happy tears from there on out. And you know, the main thing is we're both so proud of what we've gone through and everything. The fact that we're able to do it together, I think it's such an incredible experience that we're going to really, really treasure. Like, I think, you know, there's 5.5 years between Alexa and I, so we weren't close when we were growing up at all. You know, and it wasn't like, because, you know, we were sisters, we bicker and all the stuff, whatever. But like, we've spent so much time together, obviously, over the last year and a half, and you were just very, very fortunate of how it's really probably brought us close together in such a unique way as well. Because again, Alexa would have been very active when she was younger, and I wouldn't have been. So now this is something that we're both, like, fitness is what has brought us together. So I think that probably makes it so much more fulfilling now.
It's interesting you said that you were looking at yourself the day of the competition and being like, oh, no, I could have done better. Because when I seen your photos go up, I was like, wow, she looks amazing. So it just like shows the difference, because just because it was you looking at yourself, you thought, nope, could have done. We're our worst judge, like we're
Yeah.
our worst like nightmare, really.
Yeah.
So would you plan on ever doing one again in the future?
Yes, unfortunately. And not even unfortunately, like Alexa and I were talking about today, we were kind of like, Jesus Christ, like the fact that it's been 2 weeks today since the competition. So, you know, one of the biggest advices we were given by a fellow competitor a few weeks prior to the show, she said to us, have another goal after you get off stage. Have something. She was like, if it's, you know, following a different approach with nutrition, if it's a new training program, have something there, because nobody can prepare you for the post-show experience. And I think Alexa and I can both say let's say the last 2 weeks in particular, like, have been more painful than the 12-week preps. Like the 12
Really?
yeah, the post, they, like, when I hear like post-show blues, I was kind of like, oh yeah, like, you're probably just going to obviously kind of have a bit of a come down naturally. But no, like last week I didn't realize how challenging it would be. There was so much emotion. There was self-doubt. There was, you know, way more self-doubt than what I was experiencing prior to the competition. But I came off the stage. I rang my coach about 2 hours later, and we already said, okay, we're competing now in November. So nobody knows that now. So it's out there. So
There you go.
yeah. So I think it's like, oh God, I think it's like 16 weeks out, maybe 16, 17 weeks. Yeah. So like, we're like mentally, like, that's the goal, and we hope we're going to work there at the moment. As I said, like, Alex and I are both experiencing post-show day blues. So like, you know, it's really just feeling down, obviously, because at the moment, like, all you kind of really want to do is eat. Sometimes you don't want to eat. I haven't trained properly in the last 2 weeks either. I didn't want to train when I got home. It was the last thing I wanted to do. I didn't want to do cardio. I didn't want to do any of that. I just wanted to just, like, work. I was like, oh, I need to distract myself and do a bit of work. But yeah, no, that is the current goal, and I do hope we can work towards that. Because, you know, like, it was such a surreal experience, and I knew I always wanted to do another show. I just didn't know when. I was kind of like, oh, will I go into an off season and, you know, just grow a bit more muscle and then come back in 2022? But at the moment, yeah, we're working towards November of this year. So it's a bit mad, but
Yeah.
we're working towards it. So we've something to look forward to.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. And with that one, is that competition going to be in Ireland, or is it going to be in England, or?
Yeah, back over in the UK. So it's near, it's in Kent, so just like south of the UK. So, yeah, like I suppose it just hasn't really sunk in that we're doing it again. Again, it feels so far away, but yet we know that like the when it comes like week 12, week 11, like even when we look back at like the last 3 months, like it just flew so fast. Anyone that was following us will know, they were like, oh my god, what? It's like we're 4 weeks out now, and I'm like, yeah. So the time just time flies when you're having fun, as they say. So I think that will definitely be the case as well this time.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about your business?
Yeah, I suppose. Where do we begin?
You can advertise yourself away.
Oh god, I don't even know what to say. Like, oh my god, I'm like that's the thing. Like, you think with all like the sales and marketing experience I have, you think I'd be able to sell myself, but I can't. I really can't. So my business is selffit coaching. I suppose like I suppose it is more of a lifestyle coaching rather than like specific like fitness, because I do look at other aspects. So I look at people's training and nutrition, of course, but we do look at other health factors that people don't consider that can affect your overall physique progress and mental progress, such as stress, sleep, mindset, habits, digestion. These are all factors that contribute to any sort of like results you're looking for. So I'm very fortunate with people that I've been working with. I've been working with a lot of people in the long-term perspective. Because initially when I started coaching, it was kind of like, 8-12 week options, and then I'm now like, it's a minimum of 3 months sign up with me now at the moment. And I know people probably think, oh my god, like 3 months, like that's a long time. But I'm like, any of my clients will say it's so short. I'm very fortunate for a lot of people. Like, I've been working with people that I've been working with since January, so a lot of people with me long term. Just because some people's goals change, need further accountability, or people just enjoying the process. And I think that's what I want people to really learn from self-coaching, is that like, you can enjoy this, and like, fitness doesn't need to be your life. Fitness is my life 100%, because it's what I do, my personal and my business life, but it doesn't have to be yours. Like, I want people to understand, like, these are all things to make your life a little bit easier and happier as well. Like, and you don't need to train 6 days a week just to, lose a bit of weight. It could just be simple nutrition. It could just, simple nutritional guidance. It could just be improving your sleep that little bit better for recovery. It could just be, journaling, just to get, any like stress released from your body. There's so many different other health aspects that we look at. So I work with all genders. Anyone that wants to work with me, no matter what their goal is, if it's to lose body fat, if it's to do a photo shoot to gain muscle, whatever it is, even if it's just like, if your goal is like just to be happy, like, that's a goal within itself. You don't need to have like, I need to do this, I need to do that. I'm I work with some people who didn't have a goal at the start, and who came with me and just said like, I knew I wanted to be happy. And now there's some people who've been with me, and then after a few weeks they've kind of identified, do you know what, that's actually my goal. Like, some people think, I need to lose weight to be happy, and then it's like, oh no, I actually just want to like just grow some muscle and feel strong. And I'm like, happy days. So yeah, like, I suppose my style of coaching has really kind of evolved as such. And I'm excited. As I said, I'm only like 7 months properly in business, so I'm very, very excited to kind of see what does happen with it, and kind of where it goes. And it's very, very exciting.
So I forgot, you have a podcast as well, don't you?
I do. Jess Chatting podcast.
So what made you decide on starting a podcast as well?
Ooh,
you started a lot.
To give myself more work. I love working. I suppose because I just chat all the time, like, you can't really shut me up, to be honest. So I just felt I was going to start a podcast, and I didn't like. There was no. I did no research in it. I kind of, I didn't know if there was like I suppose a niche in it, I suppose. So I was kind of like, what do I talk about? Like, I don't want to be like talking about like, fitness related stuff all the time, and like, that's not really me. I kind of want to talk about a bit of everything. So and that's kind of what I've done. So I've done like 4 episodes, I think, so far. And like, so far so good. Like, it's still growing, but I think podcasts are definitely an outlet for the future. I know that like, there's been so many people that have started them, like, over the last year, but I think from an education point of view, they're probably going to be a lot bigger as well. like there's a podcast there for everyone, and there's like different obviously lengths. So like when I started, I didn't want to go down the big long ones, but now they have, because I can't stop talking. So but you know, again, I thought I wasn't the person to listen to like podcasts that went on over an hour and a half, but now I do, because if it's an interesting topic, I will. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of see where that kind of goes as well. And I hope that, again, it's another outlet for people to kind of, I suppose, listen to a bit more about me, I suppose, as well. Because again, there's more, like when people go on my social media, they might probably think like, oh god, she's pink hair, she's a bit mad and she's a bit vain, so she'll still have photos of herself. But like, people actually listen to me and like listen to what I have to say. Hopefully they kind of realize, okay, there's a human underneath it all. But like, you know, I'm a girl that suffered with her self-esteem for so many years. So I think there's.
What was the reason for you suffering with your self-esteem? Because you seem very, very, very confident now.
Oh God, yeah. I think
You don't seem cocky now or anything, but you just seem confident. I'm not, you know, you just seem like a confident person.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would probably describe me as an extrovert, and I think sometimes I can be. I suppose, I was bullied for I was bullied to different parts of my life, and I suppose again that this leads back to the whole self-esteem. It leads back to the whole like wanting to fit into society, because I didn't want to be targeted and all that kind of stuff. And you know, I kind of did things so that I could fit in. And you know, I suppose like my kind of confidence was always kind of there as a facade, maybe, I think, to kind of really cover up how I was feeling. And again, just putting others first and making sure everyone else is happy before I was. And you know, I wasn't really looking at how I was feeling and anything like that. And you know, that's why I'm being selfish now over the last 2 years, because I've had to, because I was just, you know, again, I just was doing things, not that I was like, I you know, I never did anything like dangerous or anything to like, you know, harm myself or any others. Like I didn't go down any bad, you know, roads in my life, but it was, you know, there was stuff that I could have been more open about or anything like that. And that's why now I'm comfortable talking about what I've been through, because it's made me the person I am today. And you know, now, as I kind of said, like I'm just a bit more selfish in the best way possible. And you know, yeah, like I'm losing my trail of thought now. But I suppose, yeah, the last 2 years has really been life-changing for me, because I've put myself first, and I'm, you know, that's how I plan to live the rest of my life. And you know, if someone doesn't like what I do in my life, I'm like, that's fine. Like, you keep your you have your own opinion, I have my own opinion, and I'm not going to follow the rules of, you know, what society expects me to do. I'm like, this is my journey. So you know, I probably don't follow the norm, particularly in Ireland. Like you know, some people feel like they probably feel pressured to, like, you know, get a partner and settle down and buy the house and get the great job and all that kind of stuff. And like, you know, again, society can put certain pressures on you. And I probably don't know if, you know, I'm choosing how my pathway wants to go. So but yeah, it's taken a while to get to this. Like, even though it's been a 2-year journey now, but like I've the rest of my whole life to really improve my self-esteem, and again, improve on my self-doubt as well, because that's something I obviously could still continue to deal with as well.
And you know, obviously you've come a long way since you said that you were bullied when you were younger. Have you came in contact with anyone that has put you down since?
No.
No, that's a shame.
No. No, like, you know, everything happens for a reason. And I think if that, like, you know, again, because trolling and everything like that has been so evident over the last year and a half, like even on social media as well, like I'm like, there's negativity out there. And you know, it was obviously very unfortunate. So like, anyone that has been bullied or has had awful experiences like that with trolling or anything like that is obviously very difficult. But I'm a lot stronger now. And if I was to experience it again, touch wood, I don't. But if I was, I'm definitely way more vocal about it now. And like people would know about it. Like I would say what's on my mind as well. So you know, but no, like, you know, they're probably living their own lives, and you know, I don't have any. I used to be that person where I would hold like grudges against people, a lot. If anyone did upset me in, you know, in any way, like I would really hold it against them. But like, you know, sometimes you just have to kind of like let it go. It's not worth holding that kind of negative energy. I'm just like, any bit of negativity, I'm like, no, don't need it. Like, no point of like, as there's one of those quotes being like, you know, holding a grudge is like letting someone live rent free in your head. So I've enough stuff going on up there, so I don't need to be thinking about how anyone else has been affected. Like, and you know, I don't wish bad on anyone, even if they've hurt me. I'm kind of like, I do hope things that work out for other people as well, because you know, people tend to bully or tend to do something or to bring someone down to their level if they're experiencing, you know, maybe they're not happy in their own life or anything like that. So I don't wish that negativity on them. I do hope that they find the help that they need. If that's the case, I don't know why people have done it. I don't know why people do these negative things. And like, you see all these, you know, people setting up like second and third accounts and you know, commenting on people's stories and stuff like that. It's just absolute madness. But you know, I like to create a little world of positivity and live my little positivity bubble. So
Yeah, I actually love the dynamic between you and your sister as well on the, was it Fitsit? Fitsit.
yeah.
I'm often just like laughing. I actually like rewind your stories. I just watch it again because they're just laughing, so I can't hear what you're saying. So I have to like go back. So like you are like a really positive person, and even like I was like just have to come back from a walk, and I was just like, but like after talking to you now, I just feel like a lot more like, oh wow, this is so great.
Oh,
So like,
amazing.
so I wish you luck in your competition in 16 weeks.
Yeah, 60 weeks.
And maybe you can come back on afterwards. If
100%.
yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Do you want to just promote your business very, very quickly for
Yeah,
people to go to your page?
yeah, so obviously I'm Jess_selffit. So selffit is spelled SELFFIT, and then my coaching business is Selffit Coaching. So again, it's SELF. So yeah, so if anyone's looking to be coached by me, happy days. But thank you, Chloe, so much for honestly the great chats. I really, really enjoyed it, and hope everyone else enjoyed it as well.
Is it okay if I pop this up on YouTube?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure. All right. Yeah. All right. Okay. So it was really great chatting to you. Thanks so much, and just enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, Chloe. Thanks so much.